Hi, I'm Sug.
I'm Dan.
This is the Demystified Zone.
A podcast about North Korea. This is one of two things my mom disapproves of. The other one is my wife.
What's up, Dan?
Hey.
So I'm going to start with a question again.
Okay.
Think of a time when you poorly planned an activity, a policy, maybe, something with rules in it that just you regretted instantly.
I feel like every time Crossing Borders makes a video, there's like always some missing equipment or with some giant like...
No. Okay, let me clarify. Not just something that went bad, but like you planned something. It's like you wrote up the game winning touchdown play, and it just like backfired on you instantly. You know, I go back to the Seattle Seahawks against the Patriots, and they should have gone beast mode into the end zone. I forgot what year that was, and they threw the pass and they got intercepted. That's what I'm talking about here. And if you need time to think about that one, okay. For me, it was when I was in junior high at the time, so maybe like 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing this Sunday school, like Easter event, and all these like children were there, and we had this like, I don't know why we had this. This is a cringe. We had Easter bunny piñata, a Korean Easter Sunday service, and I'm running the piñata thing, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm a junior high kid, so I'm like, you know what, piñatas usually stink. They give you that little like window blind stick, the thing that you twist for your window blinds. That's like the strength of the stick they give to you, little plastic thing. Yeah. To whack this piñata. I'm like, there's no way this thing's gonna break the piñata. Like these kids are gonna be whacking, and they're so weak. They're gonna be whacking this thing forever. So I made two mistakes. Okay. First is I decided to make it really authentic and spin them around, like dizzy them like crazy, which is a bad idea because they don't even have the dexterity or the coordination to hit it, let alone without the blindfold. Like they can't even hit the piñata without the blindfold. Yeah. But now I'm spinning them around and they're blindfolded. Yeah. Okay, so I'm like, I'm gonna make this really authentic, really Mexican style, and I'm gonna spin them around. So I spin these kids around. Second mistake, instead of the little window blind plastic stick that it came with, I took the janitor's broom, like a 5-foot solid wooden broom handle. I took the broom end off. I twisted that thing off. I thought you were going to say you brought a mace or something. No. I mean, I might as well. This thing was like a kendo stick, basically. It was so solid. It was like 5 feet long. It was like taller than children. Yeah. They could barely lift it.
This is the premise of like every good America's Funniest Home Video.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, if you can picture it, that's exactly what happened. Okay, I put it in the first kid's hand, this giant like sword in this guy's hand. He's blindfolded. I spin him around. There's tons of children surrounding us here. It's not a line. There's a room full of children. A small circle. Yeah. And this guy's just like, he's going like Tasmanian devil, like he's just swinging this thing around, like. And I was like, oh my god, someone's gonna get like knocked out by this broom handle. Yeah. And he's laughing like, ha 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 ha, not even close to the piñata. And the only resolve is I throw my body in front of him. That was the only thing I could do. And I swear it hurt. It hurt like no. I took a couple. I've been beat by my mom's and dad's like shoehorn thing. This thing was 10 times worse. Even this weak kid was like putting some pain on me because he got 2 good thwacks on me because he was swinging around, and I took it. Like I like saved some children. Like put my arms out. My back took the. Anyway, poorly planned, poorly executed.
If it was America's Funniest Home Videos, that shot would have been to the groin.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But, thank God it didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, man. I can't think of a specific episode for me, but I just feel like, with Crossing Borders, you just got to take shots, right? You got to plan for the best and hope for the best. But there's so many times where, we've tried things and it didn't exactly work out. And You just keep on moving on. Yeah.
Well, that's a great attitude to look at those things, and that
Thank you.
just brings us. I think that's going to carry on well into the this episode, because we're going to talk about North Korea's currency reform in 2009. Okay, so we're going to go back again to understand this nation that we love so dearly.
Yes.
In 2009, Kim Jong-il was the leader, and
almost 2 years away from his death.
Yes, he died in 2011. So that's actually really good context for later.
Yeah.
In 2009, they instilled this economic reform, was actually specifically a currency reform in North Korea. All right. They changed the value of the won, or the won. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Which is their currency, our dollar basically in their won. Give us a little more color to this. Like, tell us what was going on at the time and what was happening. Why'd they do this?
So this is like 10 years after the famine. And during the famine, because the government distribution system, the public distribution system in North Korea failed, right? Before the famine, the government gave you everything, right? You bought food from the government, from money that the government gave you, right? And you got clothing, you got your radio, everything was through the government, right? It's a very, very centralized system. Famine hit, that system failed. And so North Korea quietly allowed private markets to pop up around the country so that people can produce their own goods and sell them independently. And for 10 years that was happening, and there was a middle class that formed during that time. So during that, and people obviously didn't trust the banks. So they had a lot of cash laying around, North Korean cash and maybe other forms of currency. And so North Korea in 2009 set up this thing where they said, okay, we form this new currency. It was like 1,000 to 1, right? Right. So 1,001 from before, you could exchange this new money and now it's one. Yeah. One, right? Yeah. And they just lopped off a few zeros because
I think it was 1,000. Was it 100 to 1?
100 to 1.
100 to 1. Yeah, right. So 2 zeros.
Zeros.
Overnight.
And we're going to print out this new money and you could exchange it. But there's a cap. You could only exchange like 150,000 won. Anything you had above that was worth nothing.
Well, next to nothing. It was.
There's tons of different stories out there.
Yeah, we don't know really what was like on the ground, but to give everyone context,
but chaos was unleashed.
Yeah, you can imagine. Okay, here's some context of what Dan's saying is like. So basically, 100,000 won back in 2009 was around $40 US dollars. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Today it's more like with about 110, 111. We're not really sure actually, but inflation, whatever. $40. Mm-hmm. Which, for context, was this wiped out a lot of people's savings, like life savings. So $40 is what people had on average. They could change 100 to 1 for the first $40 of their money. Mm-hmm. Then after, you're right, 1,000 to 1, which basically negates anything. It's $4.
It's an order of magnitude less.
Yes. So imagine that, y'all. It's like next day, the Fed Reserve automatically declares your money worth 100% less than what you have.
Yeah.
But everything else is the same. Like the prices at grocery stores is the same. Everything else is the same.
Well, it was under my impression that even the grocery stores, it used to be 101 for a loaf of bread, let's say. Yeah. Now it was one.
Oh, okay. One. So they changed the pricing system too.
But that's the thing. It doesn't work like that because if your money, if there's like this complete devaluation of cash outside of your first $40, what will that do to the economy? And then what will that do to prices?
Yeah.
It just unleashed so much chaos. I
Yeah.
mean, we're experiencing some inflation now, and we live in like this organized system, and it's still pretty chaotic. But that was overnight.
This is an unheard of. If you're complaining about inflation now, this is unheard of inflation. Because not only did everything cost 100 times more to you now, you've lost your money.
You lost your money.
You've lost all your money.
And so it's not just savings, right? But operating income for someone who's a middleman, right?
Yeah.
Like who's buying goods to sell in the market, right? You need operating cash.
Yes.
And that there's no credit card or credit system in North Korea that I know of at least, or anything organized. So you had this pool of cash to just operate your business. It's not like, you were being greedy. You just needed that to buy and trade.
Yeah, and then to your point, like, so we're talking about a communist nation. I mean, their government is not perfectly communist, but
not anymore.
It's the closest thing that we can match it to right now. But in that infrastructure, if capitalism is all about free trade and free money, and so one would think you'd be safer in a communist nation for something like that to happen, but it's worse if the conditions are right, which is this is that situation where like the conditions are everyone is already below the poverty line, like the mass majority of the population is below the poverty line, and the distribution of wealth is not being socially equitable within a communist regime, which is now like pushing the poor, which is the majority of the country, down even further.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is they thought that this was going to like cut back on that somehow.
It's right.
Or reverse it.
There was speculation that I read about that that the middle class became too powerful in the country. So they wanted, as Kim Jong-il knew that his life was coming to an end, and Kim Jong-un was sort of in the background now, sort of in the picture.
Wait, hold on. I got a question before you go. What's the middle class in North Korea? Who are the middle class? Is there a middle class?
This trading class, this new and emerging trading class.
I guess, okay, so because to me, it just seems like everyone is below the poverty line. Is the middle class, is it not? Are they living in those means of like, because I only know that the ultra rich, right?
Yeah.
Which are like government employees.
Sure.
Or military.
The cronies, basically.
Yeah, the cronies. Versus like, what else is there? And then the market though, like, aren't these guys still poor? Like, is there a middle class?
I don't know. It's up to speculation. I've met a couple people who have claimed that they're middle class. They were middle class in North Korea. It's anyone who has private enterprise, basically, who is not just living off of government checks, which come sporadically. Right?
Yeah.
There was an emerging middle class for sure, and who knows what's happening in the borders, right? What exactly the perceived threat was. But North Korea thought, no, we want more equality, so we're going to crush these people.
And that's what makes it kind of crazy to me. Is like, if there really was no middle class.
Yeah. No, there
was
some. How big they were. There's not like economists who are measuring these things.
Yeah. It's too hard to tell what that scale truly looks like, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, whether it existed or not, the middle class. I mean, the reason is kind of moot at this point. The effects were real.
The effects were very real.
So what basically happened was Korea did this almost instantly. There were riots, which do not happen in North Korea.
Riots.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Everything is speculated, but riots. So basically, here's the speculation: people loudly cursed the government, which I know doesn't sound like in America. We're like, oh, I curse the government every day. Like, what was the problem with that? But like
during traffic.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, this is North Korea. We talked about this before. Anti-aircraft missiles coming at you if you curse the government.
Yeah.
You're getting executed. Citing of incidents of violence, murder, suicides, kidnappings, which I don't even know who you're kidnapping. Probably government people, richer people, well-to-do people. Food shortages, closed markets, banned foreign currency, hoarding was happening. Yeah. Basically,
overnight,
the recipe for a post-apocalyptic world. They basically got sent into a post-apocalyptic world, zombie world, without the zombies.
And it didn't sound like, to me, from my readings of it, it didn't sound like the government said, hey, in 6 months, this is going to happen, so prepare. It was like, hey, everyone, thanks for waking up today. Guess what we're going to do? Bam.
Yeah.
And in an instant, unleashed chaos.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so there's like a lot of speculation again about why did North Korea do this? And so one of them is like, they wanted to curb the middle class. Another is maybe it's all inclusive too, but they wanted to cut down these black markets, which is the middle class, I guess is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's one and the same. But the black markets, for anyone who's listening, is after the famine, these black markets emerged because that's where everyone would get their food, because they could trade foreign currency there for food or other goods.
And they can barter.
Yeah,
anything.
And they can barter. Yes. Yeah. Basically these open air markets.
And before the famine, that was considered capitalism, because it is capitalism.
It is.
Right?
It's free trade.
So that was illegal.
Yeah. This is like your farmer's market at night. On a Monday night, farmer's market, not on Saturday morning. This is Monday night in like a warehouse. Okay? But everybody's there. And it's like the hottest farmer's market in the city. Yeah. But those were like thriving, I want to say, after the famine, because that's really like what allowed the people to survive. Now, suddenly the Korean government thinks, hey, these things are a threat. And this is their way of smashing it. It's like cutting everyone's basically not going and cracking down those markets, but just cutting everyone's legs out from under them. Everybody equally, which again, I don't understand.
And there was another reason or factor in all of this, which was, and this is crazy, but that Kim Jong-il didn't have his face on the money. And he was about to die.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe he just wanted his face on the money before he died.
That's true.
They did this.
Because they changed their currency, how it looked.
Yeah.
And then not only did they change the currency, they made it very like less efficient and more ridiculous, where they went like kind of like Hollywood hip hop glamour, where they went only C notes out there. So they only made these huge denominations.
Exactly.
So they got rid of small bills.
So that's another thing, right? Like, they only printed the high. They didn't do this well, obviously.
No,
it was overnight, and they only printed high denomination. So 100 won was now worth 1, and it was still worth what used to be 100. So what if something cost 25 won? Yeah. They didn't have change.
Nope. They're starting at a new number.
So during this time, I was on a phone call with a person an American who lived in North Korea, and he was asking for help because he was asking for rice imports. So he was calling the world to ask, hey, can we send in rice to bring down the price of rice? Because I guess they were hoarding and things like that. I forgot exactly what his rationale was. And then he said this is incredible. During this time of chaos, he said, we're not taking broken rice. Because I guess when Eastern rice producing countries send aid, they send the broken kernels.
Okay.
So he's
like the leftovers.
Yeah. He was like, we only want whole rice kernels.
Okay.
During this time as people were suffering and starving.
What does that mean? I don't understand the implications for that. What tell us what that means.
Because beggars can't be choosers, right? During this time where their economy is in utter chaos, they're saying, hey, we need your help, but we only want the best of your crop, basically. We don't want broken,
Why would they ask for that, though?
I don't know. I think it's a pride thing.
Huh.
I think it's a pride thing.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy.
So did people respond to that? Did they answer the call for whole grain nishiki rice?
Yeah.
Sushi style rice?
New crop, whole grain, nishiki rice. I asked around, this had nothing to do with crossing borders, but I asked some of our larger donors at that time if they'd like to support this. And this is not through crossing borders at all. I didn't find any takers, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if he was successful.
Wow. If the story can get any crazier. Okay,
Yeah.
So this happens in 2009. The post-apocalyptic North Korea breaks out. And here's the thing, people, like we don't know what happened. As always, we don't know. But this is if anything is an indicator of how bad it was, like when something's really bad, it's like when you squeeze the toothpaste, something's going to come out in the tube and it's sealed, like something's going to come out.
Yeah.
There were just reports from Japanese, Chinese, and South Korean news outlets of like riots that could be seen, and observed. Mm-hmm. And again, this is a country where they are good at, if they're good at anything, they're good at controlling their people.
Yeah.
Right. And this is happening. That's how bad it was. People would rather riot and die knowing that they're going to get executed than like, that's how bad it was, basically, And so because of that, North Korea finally, again, in its ultimate wisdom, finally owns up to its own mistake here.
Well, kind of.
Yes, again, always kind of. And Dan, tell us how did they do it this time? How do they come to their minds and conclusions?
I guess, as Americans, we can understand this as well, because when an administration
that's true.
fails, they never say, we did it. They always said, well, mistakes were made, right? Just general, like no one owned up to it. And then the lead economic person in North Korea gets executed by firing squad. What a recurring theme here on this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Executed.
And I shouldn't laugh. I'm not laughing because that's not funny. But
it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. That is like us executing the head of the Federal Reserve for messing up our inflation rates.
Right.
Like taking him out and being like, okay, it's your fault. Why did you do that?
And clearly Kim Jong-il approved of this. This is a huge undertaking by any government to reprint all of their money.
Yeah. And if you guys,
it required an okay. Maybe he didn't come up with the idea, which I kind of think he did. But even if he didn't, he had to rubber stamp it.
For sure. I mean, it came across his desk. That's coming across his desk. That's not one of those little things. And if you guys want to look it up, you can just kind of Google this North Korean currency reform from 2009. You'll see, here's the man that was executed, Pak Nam-gi, maybe?
Ki? I don't know.
Killed by firing squad. At least he didn't get the anti-tank missiles. At least he didn't get those. After currency reform worsened markets, but many see him as a scapegoat. Well, clearly. This man is 70-something years old. 77 years old.
Yeah.
They executed my grandpa, for something he probably didn't even do. He just was doing his orders, you know what I mean? But that's another crazy thing. I wonder if he was like honored to be executed for this, or I don't know. Maybe he was living the good life and he didn't want that. Who knows? Whoever wants to die.
I think he was the fall guy. I think he was.
Oh, for sure, he was the fall guy. But I wonder if he went down with like pride, knowing like, okay, I'm going to die for the country. Mm-hmm. But that's the sad, twisted reality of North Korea is like, these guys. Well, they don't have a choice, but they have to do it. But how do they do it? And what?
The higher up you get in North Korea too, the more danger you have to be killed by anti-aircraft or firing squad.
Or VX gas in your face.
Yeah, VX gas. Right, exactly. The higher you get, so even like Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, right?
Yeah.
You have to imagine that even she has some concerns for her life, because if something under her watch gets botched or something, or
well, it's the whole.
I don't know.
You know what? That's. I don't think we've explicitly talked about, it, but I feel like that's the iron grip that they have, and they've established so well. Is like look over your shoulder. Everyone look over your shoulder, except for the great leader. But even him, he probably look over his shoulder too,
right?
To make sure, and he's squashing all the
or whatever. Yeah.
It's like a game of whack-a-mole. Like these like they're whacking all the moles all the time.
But okay,
or trying to, but moles aren't even popping out necessarily. They're just like,
yeah. And as I was thinking about this, excuse me, I think it's also pretty impressive that we are now in the third generation of this Kim dynasty, right?
Yeah.
With all of this chaos, with all of these power struggles, with all of these botched things, with the protests, with the famine, with now COVID, they're still in power.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like if you lose,
there was no revolution,
right?
No coup d'etat, whatever.
Right.
There's nothing. No hostile takeover.
I'm sure there were attempts, and then
I don't think so. I don't even know. Like how can they, when you're like, you basically have a prison population, right? Like everyone is undernourished, everyone is underorganized, undereducated.
I mean,
it would take the middle class, right?
Well, no, I mean, even during the famine, there's concern, right? Like because even the elite class, they were still hungry. They weren't starving. They were still hungry.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I get pretty angry when I get hangry, right? So during that time, don't you think that Kim Jong-il would have had to watch his back? Because he was a new leader at that time.
Yeah.
They could have easily whacked him.
But this is what I'm saying. I think this is why North Korea has really come close to perfecting the iron hold on a nation, on any group of people, right?
Yeah.
Because you see this in Africa, you see this anywhere else, right? People revolt.
Right.
Like this happened recently in when the Southeast, was it Cambodia or Thailand, that like they raided the presidential home, remember? And they were in his pool. I don't know where that was. I'm sorry.
I think it was Malaysia.
Malaysia, yeah. This is why I think they perfected that hold.
Yeah.
They had everyone else does the physical oppression game, and that never works, because one day the spirit of the people will break through that, and they don't care how badly they are, they're going to come and revolt. Mm-hmm. But they have the mental game. They have the mental hold. Yeah. Koreans are very good at that. My parents are very good at that. Yeah. Their parents are very good. Like the mental hold on you. Yeah. Like, you owe me. Like this weird, like, you owe me.
Yeah. Oh, you think there's something wrong with the way that I parent? Maybe because you asked that, there's something wrong with your heart. Yeah.
Did you look at yourself before you asked that? But it's not. It's more than
that. You're asking that means.
Yeah. It's that game, but then it's on steroids because they think the person telling that. Or it started off that they think the person telling them was God telling them that.
Yes.
In human flesh. So like that's even more so. Like now you've combined the tenets of this crazy Korean like guilt or shame culture with like this like religion of believing in a salvation basically of some type of this is your leader to the promised land. Yes. Whatever that means for them.
Yes.
And that's a powerful combination of a mental hold. That's why there are no revolts. It's like you are martyrs, and I'm glad to be a martyr for this, you know? It's so crazy. But for what? For like so he can get his face on his own currency, or
who knows?
Do whatever.
He did that.
Do his pistolier lessons. He was a really good pistolier. Yeah. Apparently, Kim Jong-il.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the fact that they actually did express indignation against the government means it got really, really bad.
Yeah. The pressure cooker blew up.
Yeah.
Or it was about to. It was about to, and then what happened is later that year, same year, basically at the end of the year, I think, maybe even into 2010, I forget the exact dates here, they reversed it. Not publicly, of course. They would never admit they're wrong, but basically they loosened their punishment, or crackdowns rather. And basically they said they reversed the order in currency, ruling along with restrictions on trade. So essentially they stopped cracking down and they were open-handed more about it. But to them, in their case, that's a admission of, hey, I messed this up.
But
yeah,
I mean, the damage was done.
Well, okay, so damage, for sure, the damage is done. But this is what's interesting. I found this really interesting, and I thought you were going to say this before.
Okay.
The reason experts speculate, why they did this was because Kim Jong-il was on his way out. He probably did want his face on it, but they wanted to consolidate power for his son to come in, KJU, our man KJU.
Yep.
Because this is right before, like you said, 2 years before Kim Jong-il died.
Mm-hmm.
KJU came into power 2016, but essentially he came into power when Kim Jong-il died.
I think it was 2011 or 2013.
It said he assumed office in 2016. So he came into power when his dad died.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So this is what's ridiculous about this is like they did this power play to cut out this middle class supposedly and make sure they consolidate power for the transfer of power.
Yeah.
But it like backfired on them. And now KJU stuck with this legacy of like, you messed this up. You guys messed this up.
Yeah.
And like you said, it damaged the relationship and that whole thing, the whole mental and faith belief in the government.
Exactly. I mean, basically, so without the gold standard, and I'm not getting into the conspiracy theories about this, but without the gold standard, like American currency, right?
Yeah.
We are not on the gold standard anymore.
Yeah.
The value of our currency is based on the confidence people have in the government.
Yeah.
So in this case, right, North Korea, their people lost confidence.
Yeah.
Right? They lost confidence in everything, and yet these guys still held on to power. They were hungry. There was a famine in the 90s, and then 10 years later, everyone says, every expert say North Korea was basically a failed state.
Yeah.
And yet, I don't know how these guys still function. It's crazy.
It is.
And it's weirdly impressive.
It is. And it's super impressive. Well, that just goes, to me, it goes like, that's how strong the grip was when they started out.
Yeah.
It's loosening now. That grip is loosening. And now, like, we've talked about this before, how like KJU is probably not considered a god anymore, even like a man related to God,
Definitely.
you know? And so he's come down to earth. Like, he's immortal now. Like, it's slowly changing.
Yeah.
It's taking a long time, but it's getting there. It's actually like not encouraging to see the pain and suffering, obviously, of something like this, but like encouraging, like, you know what? The people are waking up. They're waking up on their own.
Yes.
They're starting to no longer believe that, hey, Mom, I don't think you did really walk 10 miles to school without shoes every day, okay? Even though you keep telling me that. It's like, maybe you walked 1 mile, but I don't think it was 10 miles, okay?
They didn't have Google Maps back then.
I know.
But yeah, you're right. With the famine came the black markets, and with the black markets came, freedom from the government, outside media. That's when there was that explosion of outside media, is when the black markets came along and people had a centralized place to get these K-dramas, right?
Yeah.
And with that, people said, oh, wait, we don't live on paradise on earth. We sit from the outside and look at North Korea and say, when is this going to change, right?
Yeah.
But it's been changing, just slowly.
Yeah.
At a snail's pace. And that's how change truly happens, right?
It's true.
It's not overnight.
It's generational.
Generational. Like, things degrade and truth gets in, and eventually maybe the government will topple. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's always our hope here, right? Like we talk about this and we have fun, but like hopefully in our lifetime we will see the grip loosen. It never looks good. The outlook never looks good.
Yeah.
Prognosis is always bad here. It's the terminally ill, but there is hope still. And to add to that hope, we have our suggestions always to North Korea. So if you're listening, KJU, I hope you are. You love certain things American. Hopefully this podcast is hitting your radio waves and not your Secret Service. But here's my general my general take. All right, so let's not be the red light culture of let's cut the currency out. Let's take money away from people, but let's be the giving socialist, side of like, let's give people money.
Yeah.
So
that would be nice.
Let's come up with creative ways you can just give money to people, just like randomly give money out, in fun ways. And we can market this. You can make shows. We can do all this. So here's my first idea. All right. We do Squid Games. Squid Games already out there. Just no killing, none of the death stuff. We play all these fun kid games. And you just give money out to people who win.
It's funny how we have to caveat it with none of the death stuff.
None of the death stuff. So I'm saying, the death stuff is probably going to attract them. Like, oh, yeah, I could do a Squid Games. I can see that. We got enough snipers for that, But I'm like, okay, you can put rubber bullets in there maybe just for fun if you want to pelt some people, and make it entertaining. But let's not really shoot them.
No.
Okay?
No, don't really shoot them.
Don't really shoot them. And at the end, let everyone win money. Not just one guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of every game, let a bunch of people win. Like the tug of war. That's a fun game to watch. Just don't let them fall to their deaths. Let them fall into a big foam pit or something.
I got one.
Yeah.
An ICBM of money.
No! That would be... well, how are you going to keep it from burning up when it blows up?
I haven't worked through all the details yet. Still working out the math here, but...
No, yeah, okay. No, I got it. Your payload, instead of a nuclear device, is a money, like a bomb-proof cage.
Yeah.
And boom, when it blows up, it's enough just to blow up the cage. It's like the little egg experiment you did in science.
Yeah.
You got to keep the egg from cracking.
Yeah.
That's it. You keep the egg from cracking.
Get your greatest scientific minds on this.
There you
project,
go,
Kim.
Explode this giant safe of money. Let it rain. Let it rain. And let the people just enjoy that. Yeah. I love that one. ICBM.
Of money.
And then people will actually enjoy your missile demonstrations. Like they're going to come and really enthuse. They're all going to be in the crowds like waiting and cheering. I love that one. Okay, I got another one. Willy Wonka style golden ticket in a bag of rice.
Yes.
But instead of a golden ticket, it's just like a bunch of gold bars. Actually, like gold bars or like a sack of money.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000 in there,
Yeah.
And it's like, you get the golden ticket and like, you don't tour the palace because I don't think anyone wants to go. Oh, maybe they do want to go there.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want people in there. But whatever it is, golden ticket.
Golden ticket. How about Oprah? You get a new car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You bring a little reality into that.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a little undercover boss with KJU, and then he like reveals, like, you got a plot of land.
Yeah.
You got a missile. Like give away the stuff that you have in excess. Like you got a missile. You get a missile. Everyone gets missiles.
Or money. How
money.
about money or
Money's
rice?
better.
Yeah.
Money and rice. Yeah. Let's do that. That's a great one. Oprah style.
Oprah style.
KJ, you should just have a talk show. Have a talk show. Bring your people on. No guns, please. No forcing them to laugh. Yeah.
Caveat.
They will laugh. Okay, they'll laugh. Trust in your humor, man. Trust in your material.
Yeah.
They will laugh. They will cry with you. And then they'll love you when you do the whole under the sea thing. I love that. Okay, and this is just last one. This is just straight up.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get to the cut here. Let's get to the chase here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and this is food related. Do Nathan's spam eating contest. But like nationwide.
Oh.
Nationwide.
Yes.
The top 100 qualifier or finalists get money.
Yeah.
All cash earnings for the last 100 places.
That's a great idea.
And kills two birds. Everyone eats.
Everyone.
A lot. Spam's cheap. People love spam. We know Koreans love spam.
Love it. I love it. I just had it this week.
You're lucky. It's not legal in my house all the time.
Oh, yeah, me too.
The ban has been slowly loosening.
But yeah, like a Nathan style thing where you don't even need money like to advance. You just the incentive is you get to eat more delicious spam.
Yes.
And I think North Koreans might be good at this, right? And not because they're starving or whatever. It's always the skinny guys
That's true.
who dominate the like
That's true.
Kobayashi,
Yeah.
Joey Chestnut. They're all the skinny guys. When you
They're
I've
actually muscular though. That's the key too. They can like expand their stomachs.
Hey, who knows? There might be a.
Oh, they're there. They're there, and
Yeah,
they're
but-
hungry.
I've actually been to a Nathan's hot dog eating contest when we lived in New York, and you see the big guys, and you're like, oh man, this guy has got it.
Yeah.
But
No,
always a skinny.
it's not
guy.
the big guy. Did you enter?
No, I'm such a terrible binge eater.
Yeah, I have no interest in that. I don't want to like ruin that food for myself for the rest of
And-
my life.
Plus, for the rest of it was 4th of July. For the rest of the day, I just did not have a good feeling in my stomach.
Watching
Like,
them gorge
Watching
themselves.
them gorge themselves, I couldn't eat for the rest
Yeah.
of the day.
You know, maybe
Gross.
we need to change this one to a rice eating contest or something. Something that'll like take up space faster. Spam is it's not very healthy either. And you know, if you've been like on a fasting diet and you eat something greasy like
That's
that,
true.
maybe
It's
not.
good.
Maybe
good.
not.
You're right.
But some kind of eating contest. Let's, have a good time.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
Let's have a good time.
The theme here, Korea, is like less Survivor type games,
Yeah.
less Hunger Games type of games, and more like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type of games.
Let's just have some fun.
Yeah, have a good time. Give out the money, give out the food.
I agree with that.
Okay, North Korea, hear us. Don't mess with your currency anymore, please.
Please.
Keep it just normal, regular money. Let
Yeah.
people get some change. Let them go to let them farmers market come out from the shadows, please.
Amen.
No more Monday nights. Let
We
that
love
be
you.
Sunday mornings. We love you. Hey listeners, thanks for joining us. Dan and I talk a lot, so we want to hear from you. Maybe you have a question about North Korea or a specific topic, or Dan's secret ambition to become a professional cyclist for Team DPRK. Whatever it is, let us know. Send an email to dmz@crossingbordersnk.org. That's dmz@crossingbordersnk.org.